The Horn of Africa is a melting pot of diversity. It's geopolitics, religion, history, population, and culture has made the region prone to conflict. The region has been at crossroads for a number of reasons. From religious perspective, Christianity and Islam embedded themselves in the region from the earliest days. As well, when we see the issue from resource sharing also comes into play. As an instance, the Nile originates in this region and flows through to Egypt, lacking nation and a mortal association for survival. As a result, these differences have allowed outsiders to play global proxy politics in the geopolitical orientation in the global arena. The Horn is like the fragile border of Europe's very fractured southern neighborhood. Its backyard is resided by the Muslim world, including Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, who aspire to champion regional hegemony. The recent fallout of Qatar and regional rivalry between Sunni and Shia spilling into the region brought Gulf states, Qatar, Saudi and Iran fighting for influence in the Horn of Africa. Increasing influence from the Gulf has also brought Israel and Turkey onto the passage. Turkey has tried to balance Emirates' influence through trade and security relationships all along the Somali coast, including a military base. The Western world also postulates the region as a periphery where geopolitical interests are contested and setting a playing field of regional rivalries. In the geopolitical view based on American security and Chinese economic interests, Ethiopia and Kenya tend to get much of the attention this day. For instance, maritime trade between Europe and Asia is about 700 billion each year passes through the region. European interests have also increased due to recent migrant crisis and the string of high-profile terrorist incidents. Consequently, funding for the Horn has increased, emphasizing European influence in the region. Well, financially, East Africa's growing economic power has seen heavy investment from India, which is closing in on China as the region's biggest trading partner. We also consider America and Europe as a major partner in trade alongside more specialized interests, such as the Israel involvement, intelligence and security matters, and the Russian arms trade and the security sectors. As many of influence dispense into the Horn, it increases the number of paths for ambitious actors to access external support, making it more difficult for the regional local politicians to maintain control. In fact, the Horn is witnessing inter-ethnic conflicts. For example, the conflict in Gambela between Anuak and Nuer, pitting Ethiopia against South Sudan, and the conflict between Afar and Isa Somalis, pitting Ethiopia against Djibouti and Eritrea. As well, the conflict between Borana Oromos and Gauri, Somali, pitting Ethiopia again, Kenya and Somalia against each other is also another recent case. Conflict among Ogaden and other Somali clans, pitting Ethiopia against Somalia, also falls within recent memory. So what's worse, interesting conflicts are aggravated by proxy powers like the ever-changing loyalties of the Somali federal government and other in the region tied to financial and strategic interests are influenced by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Iran, and Turkey. Another instance is UAE's desire to acquire the port of Berbera, influences separatists in Somalia, including Puntland and Somaliland. And just recently, the role of Gulf states and Saudi in the Yemeni conflict that involves Sudanese military, along other, has intensified regional stability. This conflict can have a destabilizing effect in the region by disrupting the regional balance of power as countries in the Horn decide to lean on the support on external powers one after another. Well, the first one is efforts need to be exerted by states to win over their population through persuasion rather than coercion, and active engagement of people in mega projects. This will prevent discontents from creating new loyalties that are easily exploited from within or by external actors. Another action that needs to be overturned is a mix of poor governance, mutual destabilization, and external intervention into a righteous cycle of participatory government, a regional integration that focuses on building a regional economic market, and thus a region that can negotiate on its behalf with the outside world rather than retail its interests to the first buyer. Well, considering the fact that we are at the very core of the regional political dynamics, first, Ethiopian geopolitical position in the Horn of Africa, and second, our involvement as an important peacekeeper in the region. Third, our leverage on shared water resources like the Nile, Shabelle, Omo, and others. And the fact that Ethiopia is a unique mix of regional and global religious, or ethnic dynamism. The way conflicts and cooperation is solved will be closely watched by the world. We need to acknowledge the elephant is in the room. These emerging actors like UAE, Turkey, Iran, and others. So we need a foreign policy orientation that moves in tandem with domestic political evolution through a paradigm shift of economic and political interests. Through policy action, dynamic towards unpredictable and incisive diplomacy. We need to understand and conceptualize the critical matrix that include all the regional players. We need to take into consideration regional tensions like unresolved border conflict between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Also power projection by proxy forces like Ethiopia and Egypt competing to shape the future of Eritrea, Somalia, and most probably South Sudan. As well as a competition or cooperation for shared cross-border resources such as the Nile. So this policy orientation might give us a base to understand the situation and to take action to resolve all problems. Thank you very much.